It's time for open enrollment in school districts throughout Vermont. As a result of the last round of healthcare negotiations, there are some changes coming that may affect you and your family. The purpose of this presentation is to provide you with the information you need to select a plan that is best for you. As you might imagine, our healthcare system remains pretty complex, and it can, admittedly, feel like a lot of information is coming at you, and fast. This presentation is not a comprehensive guide to every facet of your health insurance. Instead, you'll be provided with some basic information you need to consider when preparing for open enrollment. Your benefit plans as school employees in VEHI are Platinum, Gold, Gold CDHP, or Silver CDHP. During the open enrollment period, you can stick with the plan you're on, or you can change plans. Your employer may want you to fill out new enrollment forms even if your plan choice is staying the same, but you'll certainly need to be in contact with them if you'll be enrolling new people in your family. Someone from your school business office should be giving you more information about this soon if they haven't already. Like I mentioned a moment ago, VEHI is still offering the same 4 plans, and while they have differences in cost and payment structure, the medical services they offer are the same. As you can see here, all 4 plans have the same medical benefits, use the same networks, doctors, hospitals, and cover the same prescription drugs. The only difference in these plans is the way that cost sharing is structured between the insurance company and you, the patient. Let's first talk about who is covered. Civil unions in Vermont are kind of rare now, but this new agreement treats partners in a civil union or domestic partners the same as your legal spouse. So while your district may have previously prohibited insuring domestic partners, you are now able to extend coverage to your partner starting in January, regardless of whether you are married, in a civil union, or in a qualifying domestic partner relationship. As you would expect, there is some documentation that needs to be provided to your business office in order to enroll a domestic partner on your plan. Additionally, one of the terrific things about this new arrangement is that any employee who is covered by this agreement is allowed to select any tier of coverage they want. Up until recently, there was still a number of school districts that limited support staff to single coverage subsidies. That all changes in January. As part of the open enrollment process, you can select the coverage that best suits the needs of your household by selecting single coverage, 2-person coverage, parent and children coverage, or full family coverage. In order to be eligible for enrollment in your school district's insurance plan, you need to work an average of 17.5 hours per week. Some people only work school year positions, and you qualify too, as long as you work an average of 17.5 hours a week throughout the school year. Remember, this requirement is just to qualify for insurance. In order to receive a full premium subsidy from the district, you need to be employed full-time, and each district has their own requirements for determining full-time status. These requirements can usually be found in the collective bargaining agreement that your local union has negotiated with the district or in your individual contract. Keep in mind that even if your premium is prorated, the amount of out-of-pocket assistance you receive is not. Therefore, even part-time employees receive the same HRA or HSA dollar amounts that everyone else does. In a moment, we'll take a closer look at financial assistance for out-of-pocket medical expenses. But before we do, let's look at what else you might want to consider when selecting a health plan. The long and short of it is that 9 out of 10 employees serving in a Vermont school are enrolled in a Gold CDHP. Similarly, almost all of these people have their coverage paired with a health reimbursement arrangement, or HRA. As we'll demonstrate in a moment, this option provides you with the lowest risk of financial exposure. Many people like an HRA because of the way that it easily integrates with their insurance plan. The HRA, or health reimbursement arrangement, is also popular because it can be paired with any of the 4 VEHI plans. Often, members choose to pair their HRA with an FSA, or flexible spending account, to cover the portion of expenses that they are responsible for. Remember, The HRA is funded entirely by money from your employer that goes toward paying medical expenses incurred by you or your enrolled dependents. The FSA is money that you can elect to allocate from your paycheck. It can be used to pay for out-of-pocket expenses related to your insurance plan, but it can also be used to pay for things like dental or vision care. Time and time again, Vermont-NEA members have shared about how much they value simplicity when paying for their medical care. This alone is a major reason that most prefer a health reimbursement arrangement. For example, if your spouse utilizes Medicare, TRICARE, or is on Social Security, you can still have an HRA. Likewise, you can use your HRA funds to pay for out-of-pocket expenses incurred by your adult children up to age 26 who are still on your insurance plan. This is still true even if they are not your tax dependents. Additionally, if you elect to enroll in a health reimbursement arrangement, you will be entitled to a debit card to pay for your prescriptions at the pharmacy, and your HRA will pay your medical providers directly, which means you don't have to fuss with tracking claims, paying bills, and submitting for reimbursement. Vermont-NEA members have made clear that they value this service, so it's something we fought hard to obtain. Unlike the HRA features we were just discussing, HSAs or health savings accounts have significantly more restrictions and tax implications. For the purposes of this presentation, there are just too many HSA restrictions to list here. However, if you are interested in knowing more about HSAs specifically, get in touch and we can send you some more information. That being said, there are a few pieces of knowledge that I want to communicate if you are considering enrolling in an HSA. Though most Vermont educators have not previously had a health savings account, if you have had one, you can still hold on to money in your account if you have managed to accumulate any funds from previous years. However, you cannot contribute to an HSA any longer if you are taking part in a health reimbursement arrangement. Moreover, you can't double dip and reimburse yourself for claims that were paid by an HRA. If you were able to accumulate funds in your HSA from a previous year, you can use those funds to pay for your out-of-pocket claims after exhausting the HRA from your employer. Seriously though, please do your research and know what you're getting into if you are interested in signing up for an HSA. You will be held accountable for compliance by the IRS, who administers regulations for HSAs. So, the reason that most of you are watching this presentation is to know how you can get the plan that provides you the best medical care for the least amount of money. With that in mind, let's get to it. I'll say this as simply as I can. Most people choose the Gold CDHP because it provides the lowest exposure to financial risk. This is true for teachers, administrators, and support staff. I don't expect you to take my word for it though, so I'd like to share some basic information with you. As you can probably infer from what you see on the screen, your new insurance terms are structured in such a way that really encourages school employees to select the Gold CDHP, and as you saw previously, most do. It's important to realize that funding for the 3 most expensive plans is built around the Gold CDHP. Keep in mind that if you select the regular Gold plan or the Platinum plan, your district's dollar contribution will remain the same as if you were enrolled in the Gold CDHP. The effect of this will be you paying a higher percentage of the premium and therefore more out of your paycheck, since those plans cost more. On the flip side, your district pays only 80% of the Silver CDHP, even though it costs less. The same general ideas apply to support staff, but there are some important differences that need to be mentioned. For this entire next year, support staff premium contributions will remain status quo. So while the teachers and administrators are going to move to an 80-20 split, you will remain at the same percentage that you're paying now. To be clear, if you're paying 15% of the premium now, you'll be paying 15% next year. If you pay 12% now, you'll pay 12% next year. Currently, some employees only receive employer subsidies for single plans, as we've mentioned before. Remember, starting in January, you can select the tier of coverage you want, but the percentage will be 20% or less if you're a non-licensed employee who is currently paying less. Keep in mind, though, that beginning in January 2022, you'll pay 2% more in premium, but still not more than 20%. Next, let's talk about out-of-pocket expenses, sometimes referred to as OOPS. Hopefully it won't be, oops, I slipped on the ice and broke my arm, so I have to go get an x-ray. Remember, under the new health insurance terms, you can only choose an HSA or health savings account with the Silver plan. You can choose an HRA with any of the plans, but the amount of money that your employer is obligated to pay towards your out-of-pocket expenses is the same, $2,100 for single coverage or $4,200 for any other coverage, two-person, parent-child, or family. Now, let's take a look at what school support staff will be expected to pay toward their out-of-pocket expenses. Here's some good news for our ESP. You get a little better deal than the teachers on monthly premium, but you also get a little better deal when it comes to out-of-pockets. For you support staff, the district will contribute up to $2,200 for a single plan, or up to $4,400 for two-person, parent, children, or family plans. This means that for the majority of you who are in the Gold CDHP, the most amount of money that you will have to pay for your out-of-pocket expenses is $300 for single or $600 for the other tiers, two-person, parent-child, or family. So over the last few minutes, we've been looking at the stuff that will cost you money, monthly premiums, and out-of-pocket expenses. Because there are several different plans that cost differing amounts, I want to give you some tips to think about when you're considering what plan to enroll in. No matter what your position is in the district or how much money you make, your health insurance is a significant portion of your family's budget. As you can see on the screen, there is a simple formula you can use to determine your maximum financial exposure. First, determine the portion of out-of-pocket expenses you are responsible for. This is the difference between the employer's HRA contributions and your maximum out-of-pocket amount before the insurance completely takes over responsibility for claims. For a typical paraeducator with a family plan, this would be $600. Then you add that amount to the premium responsibility and voila, you have determined your MFE. It is important to remember that your MFE will vary from year to year depending on you and your household's personal medical experiences and the VEHI plan you are in. Now, let's take a look at how this works for you. Even though the Silver plan costs less per month, the maximum out-of-pocket exposure is a good deal higher. Therefore, your exposure to financial risk is also higher. Similarly, because you have out-of-pocket assistance from your employer, most people have elected to enroll in Gold CDHP because their total financial exposure is lower. Remember, all four plans have the same benefits, meaning that they have the same networks with the same doctors and hospitals and so on. As you can see on the screen, members enrolled in the two-person plan will also have the lowest financial risk with the Gold CDHP. The same is also true for the parent-child, parent-children plan. Now let's look at the family plan options. I really want to draw your attention to the serious differences in maximum financial exposure. I'm not going to tell you what plan to sign up for, but I really want to communicate that the financial exposure is significantly different dependent upon which plan you choose. The Platinum and regular Gold plans leave you with greater financial exposure because they have higher monthly premiums, whereas the Silver CDHP leaves you with greater financial exposure because it has a much higher out-of-pocket maximum. We've been throwing a lot of technical terminology about, so I'll remind you that the out-of-pocket maximum is the amount of money that has to be paid by you or on your behalf before the insurance company takes over 100% of your medical and prescription costs for the rest of the year. For instance, the Gold CDHP has a maximum out-of-pocket of $5,000 per year for a family plan. The district contributes $4,200 toward the first part of your medical expenses if you're a teacher or administrator, and if you have any medical expenses after that, you will be responsible for up to $800 before the insurance takes over. However, if you have the Silver plan, the district still only pays $4,200, but the maximum out-of-pocket amount is $8,000, so you could be on the hook for almost $4,000 a year if your medical needs exceed the district's contributions. Though again, you'll have to decide what's best for you and what level of risk you can withstand. While teachers will all have the same premium and out-of-pocket obligations starting in January, support staff will not. Therefore, we can't show you your maximum financial exposure, but we can tell you that just like with teachers, the Gold CDHP has the lowest financial risk. If you're interested in seeing this for yourself, though, I can show you how to figure it out. It's really not too bad. The first thing you'll want to do is get to a computer and access the website shown in the first box on the screen. This part should be pretty darn easy if you're already watching this on a computer. Look for where it says Cost Comparison Chart and open up the document. It will be an Excel spreadsheet that looks a lot more complicated than it actually is. Next, go ahead and input your district's premium cошер into cell A2. You can likely find this in your local contract if you don't know it off the top of your head. Your MFE should then show up in column K. Not too bad, right? Hopefully that works for you, but if not, just get in touch and we'll give you a hand. Many local unions in Vermont fought against HSAs for several years, and there are some very specific reasons they did so. However, some people admittedly really like their HSAs. All of this is to say that Vermont-NEA urges you to do your research if you're thinking about selecting an HSA, especially if you or a family member has known or anticipated health concerns. Thanks for sticking around. Hopefully you feel a little more equipped to select a health plan that works best for you and your household. Please don't hesitate to contact us at Vermont-NEA or get a hold of local union leaders if you have any additional questions. As always, if you'd like to know more about VEHI benefit plans, contact Mark Hage, your Vermont-NEA Director of Benefit Programs.